Open it up with the co-main event right here. And this is probably the biggest story of the card. Calvin Kattar, right? The Boston strong Calvin Kattar. He fights the Moroccan devil, Youssef Zalal. And again, you could write a story on this man, or write a movie on this man's story right here. Bro, cut in 2022. Since then, 6 straight finishes, 4 submissions, 2 knockouts. And because a lot of people only watch the UFC, they look at him and they say, oh, Zalal is a submission specialist now, right? The dude's always been well-rounded. He just had a lot of decisions early on in the career in the UFC, lots of decisions, and that's where things get interesting, man. Calvin Kattar is not a stepping stone, and we've seen the UFC try to throw people at him so they can make a name off of him. This is the opportunity where he either cracks it big, you're in the rankings, championship run, without a doubt. Or this is Calvin Kattar saying, sorry, brother, I am the ultimate gatekeeper at 145 pounds. Maybe aside from Holloway, I am the ultimate gatekeeper right there. So, question for you right here, my friend. Youssef Zalal, hype, or is this a real competitive matchup?
No, this is a real competitive matchup, Derek. We've seen an evolution of Zalal as he's came into these last couple of fights. I mean, he's even talked about it. He's like, this is what stories are made out of. You get cut, you think you're bad, you think you have nothing going for you, you try your hardest, you never quit. He's back in the octagon, and out of 3 fights, he's finished all 3 of them in the UFC. Absolutely not hype, man. This is the real deal fight right here.
And I believe so too, man. I think that he is the full package of being able to do everything. But then you got guys who are really, really good at one thing, like Calvin Kattar and his boxing and his jab in particular, right? Look at that last fight that he had against Aljamain Sterling. You had a dude who had to grapple him up in order to get the win. 8 takedowns, I believe, in that fight. Like, yeah, impressive performance. Not good for Kattar. The fight before that was it was the blown out knee against Arnold Allen, right? I mean, come on. People looking at him saying, oh, you're on a 3-fight losing skid. Come on, it doesn't really count, right? The one before that, split decision, Josh Emmett. You tell me, AJ, if you haven't watched the film on it, no worries. But did he win the fight? It was a close one, right?
It was a close one. I would have given it to him, but very, very close. I can see how Josh Emmett thinks he won that fight, but even Calvin Kattar still saying that he won this one all day long.
The point is, man, when this dude loses, Calvin Kattar, it's against the top guys in the division, the top ranked guys in the division. So that's where I look at Youssef Zalal, and I'm like, even though the track record has been awesome, man, who'd you beat? Jack Shore, Jarno Aarons, Billy Quarantillo. But, brother, that's not Aljamain Sterling. That's not Arnold Allen, Josh Emmett, Giga Chikadze. That's none of these guys, right? So that's just really going to be the test. Is he really about it? We're going to find out. And I think that what it comes down to here, man, is Youssef Zalal is 3-3 in fights that go to decision. If he can't put away Calvin Kattar, I mean, we might be entering some weird territory because Calvin Kattar is 3-5 in the UFC for fights that go to the decision. So for a decision fight right here, man, given their styles, you'd imagine Zalal has to make this a grappling fest, right? There's no other choice. You have to grapple with Calvin Kattar, or his specialty of his striking might be able to take over the fight.
Yeah, no, you have to do what Aljamain Sterling did and just put the backpack on Calvin Kattar, right? Yeah. Shoot as many takedowns as you can or as you need to actually secure this one going forward, and look for that submission, man. We've seen him do it in the last 3. The question is, can he do it against top-tier competition? That is Calvin Kattar.
Yeah, I'm worried about the mental a little bit. This is the biggest name that he's had aside from Ilia Topuria, right? But Ilia Topuria's name wasn't even what it is when he fought him. So this is literally the biggest fight of your life right here. Good news, Calvin Kattar's 36 years old, AJ. We just had a whole discussion about this, man. But 145 pounds, you're over the 35-year-old mark. This might be the time for Zalal to shine. So if he gets it done, there is one path to victory right here that I don't know if it's the path because Calvin Kattar's never been submitted. But if you look at Youssef Zalal and you look at the submission prop right here, what we had at open when I took down the initial odd, plus 300, currently plus 250. They're liking the sub more and more. Do you like the sub, AJ?
I do like the sub, Derek. I like it a lot, especially a lot better than that minus 150 open for decision for Zalal. I think the submission's definitely at play here, especially if the old school style, and I don't mean like old school as in boxing is outdated, but the one-dimensional style that has seemed to kind of get out of what MMA is nowadays. If Zalal is able to put just a well-rounded approach and keep Calvin Kattar guessing, then get him to the ground, I like the submission right here.
It's a good point, man. And it's weird because we're in a weird evolution right now where some people are arguing. You get deep into the lore of MMA and they start arguing that some of the OGs, the Randy Couture's, the Dan Hendersons, Matt Hughes, they're like, those guys could be champions in today because everybody is a jack of all trades and nobody is a master of one anymore, right? So it does make you wonder. Do the specialists have, I'm open forum right here. Do the specialists have a place in today's MMA, or do you feel like that has transitioned and we're all about hybrid style?
I think we're all about hybrid style right now, Derek. People have been fighting and training since they were kids now. This is no longer like, oh, hey, I can join the UFC because I just knocked some dude out in a brawl. Or like, I go into the gym and people are like, man, you should be fighting. Like those days are gone now, right? People have been training since day one. They've been growing up to do this. And yeah, they might be more well-rounded, but they're usually a specialist in one specific field, while all the other fields are just equally right there. Whereas on the other side, it's one specialist and they have basically nothing else going for them. The competition level has risen a bunch. I think we're in the universe of hybrids right now.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. There's a couple people at my gym, a couple of the kids, man, young, 20, 21-year-old black belts, right? They were green belts at 14, 15 years old. And, you start training MMA and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm 25, but I've been training for half of my life. And it's like, oh, shit, you know what I mean? But that's not the point here. The point is, yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm curious to know, because if I look at the takedown defense of Calvin Kattar, 61%, man. The dude has good takedown defense. It's not like he can't sprawl. He can't, defend a takedown. But I think Zalal isn't the guy who's, I'm going to blast W, take you down. I think he's going to mix it up with the hands, create a trip, jump on your back, do something like that. Just tell me, what does the fight look like if Calvin Kattar wins this? Like, what does it look like?
Ooh, Derek, it's a lot of jabs, a lot of counters, and just cut in circles, right? And it's having Zalal think he can get close to you, think he can clinch you up because he's dangerous in the clinch, dangerous with the knees. But it's Calvin Kattar cutting angles, circling around, and just keeping this one a very technical boxing match.
What's a better bet right here? Over 2.5 rounds at minus 250, or fight to go the distance at minus 210?
Over 2.5 at minus 250. I like that one a little better.
So you think that a finish could come late here?
I do think, yes. I do think a finish could come later. And it's not only just as Zalal said that can do it. If Calvin Kattar is able to keep Youssef Zalal guessing the entire time, worried about the power, worried about the combos that are coming his way, and he can get a knockout, man, we can see Calvin Kattar win this fight.
Yeah, totally. I'm not buying Youssef Zalal at minus 550 against Kattar. I won't do it. That price is way too high for what we've seen from him. He's surging, don't get me wrong. I also don't think Calvin Kattar is a live dog at plus 375. Like, that's not a ticket price that I would pay for. So I do think that the fair play would be over 2.5, minus 250 right there if you're going to bet on anything, because the likelihood of that outcome right here, especially given the talent, not the talent discrepancy, but the experience discrepancy right here, I actually think that's a really favorable bet. So I'm rocking with that all day long. I'm down. Is that consensus? We rocking with it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, folks. Youssef Zalal, we're rocking with the Moroccan Devil. We're saying momentum will take him, but not sure if we're going to see a finish in this one. If it does, it will come late, and that is your co-main event.